Yeah. I mean, working with Mark is great, and working with that character is great because he's someone who had to make a great deal of change.
Mel Gibson has never been one to shy away from controversy, but his latest move left audiences speechless. During a live TV appearance, the Hollywood icon delivered a scathing and unexpected rejection aimed directly at Joel Osteen, one of the world's most famous televangelists. With sharp words and an unshakable demeanor, Gibson unleashed a brutal takedown that sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and religious circles. But what led to this explosive moment, and why did Gibson target Osteen so fiercely? Stay tuned as we dive into this jaw-dropping live TV clash. In 2004, Mel Gibson took a daring step behind the camera to deliver The Passion of the Christ, a film that shattered expectations and sparked conversations far beyond the confines of Hollywood. This wasn't just another movie, it was a raw, unrelenting portrayal of the life and crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The film didn't merely achieve commercial success, grossing over $600 million globally. It ignited debates in churches, classrooms, and homes across the world. For Gibson, it wasn't about playing it safe, it was about creating something that struck a chord, no matter how divisive. When you hear the name Mel Gibson, chances are vivid images of cinematic greatness come to mind. From his commanding portrayal of William Wallace in Braveheart to his sharp wit in the Lethal Weapon series, Gibson has carved out a legacy that most actors can only dream of. Yet, those unforgettable performances are just a fraction of what defines this Hollywood maverick. Beyond his artistic brilliance, Gibson has become synonymous with controversy. His unfiltered personality has made him both admired and criticized, often at the same time. Whether it's his audacious creative choices or his polarizing public comments, Gibson refuses to blend into the crowd. Over the years, his personal struggles and candid remarks have landed him in the spotlight for reasons that go well beyond his craft. It's this bold, unapologetic nature that has once again thrust him into the public eye. His recent remarks about Joel Osteen have reignited the fiery discussions that seem to follow him wherever he goes. What did Mel Gibson say this time that has everyone talking? Stick around to find out. When you think of Joel Osteen, it's hard not to picture that signature smile, wide, radiant, and brimming with positivity. As the lead pastor of Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, Joel has become more than a preacher, he's a global icon of hope and encouragement. But how did a man with no formal theological background rise to become one of the most influential spiritual leaders in the world? Let's rewind to the late 1990s. Back then, Lakewood Church was already a thriving congregation under the leadership of Joel's father, John Osteen. John was a seasoned preacher, known for his fiery sermons and deep theological understanding. He built the church from humble beginnings into a respected institution. Meanwhile, Joel worked quietly behind the scenes, managing the church's production and ensuring the broadcast ran smoothly. He had no intention of stepping into the spotlight. That all changed in 1999 when John Osteen passed away. Joel was thrust into a position he never sought, filling his father's shoes as Lakewood's new pastor. With no formal training and a demeanor far removed from his father's commanding presence, skepticism was inevitable. Could this soft-spoken, camera-shy man lead a congregation of thousands? To everyone's surprise, Joel didn't just step into the role, he transformed it. Under his leadership, Lakewood Church expanded into a massive operation that now holds services in what was once a sports arena, with seating for 16,000 people. And those seats? They're almost always full. Joel's uplifting messages of faith, positivity, and the power of God's blessings resonated far beyond Houston. His sermons are broadcast to over 100 countries, and his books consistently top bestseller lists. But with success came scrutiny. Joel's critics often point to his opulent lifestyle, a sprawling multi-million-dollar mansion, designer wardrobes, and the trappings of wealth that seem more suited to a celebrity than a pastor. To his detractors, this raises questions about authenticity. Is Joel a beacon of hope, or is his polished exterior hiding something less savory? And then there's that smile, charming to some, suspicious to others. To his millions of admirers, it's a symbol of optimism and warmth. To skeptics, it feels rehearsed, a carefully crafted image masking deeper questions about his motives. What happens when Mel Gibson's unfiltered boldness meets Joel Osteen's polished positivity? Is it a mere clash or a deeper story waiting to unfold? Stay tuned, because this is where things start to get truly fascinating. Before diving into Mel Gibson's rebuking remarks about Joel Osteen on live TV, let's first explore his unusual way of criticizing hot topics. Few public figures spark as much curiosity and debate as Gibson, whose beliefs and actions are as intricate and controversial as the films he directs. From his deeply rooted faith to his outspoken political statements, Gibson's worldview is a patchwork of tradition, rebellion, and unapologetic conviction. Raised in a household that adhered to Sedevacanist Catholicism, a belief system that rejects the legitimacy of all popes since the Second Vatican Council, Gibson's early exposure to faith came with a sharp edge. His father, Hutton Gibson, was a staunch traditionalist, known for his Holocaust denial and conspiracy theories, leaving a legacy that cast a long shadow over Mel's life. However, Mel's own faith journey has diverged in significant ways, marked by a blend of orthodoxy, personal interpretation, and controversy. During the production of The Passion of the Christ, a film lauded and criticized in equal measure, Gibson maintained close ties with clergy, both local and from the Traditionalist Institute of Christ the King in France. In a 2024 letter, he openly supported excommunicated Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, calling him a modern-day Athanasius and describing Pope Francis as an apostate presiding over a counterfeit church. Gibson even welcomed the idea of his own excommunication, seeing it as a badge of honor against what he views as a corrupted institution. This combative stance extends beyond religion into politics, where Gibson's comments have often sparked headlines. In a 1995 Playboy interview, he dismissed then-President Bill Clinton as a low-level opportunist and criticized the Rhodes Scholarship as a tool for promoting Marxist ideals. While he later downplayed his remarks as speculative musings, Gibson's skepticism of authority remained a recurring theme. Over the years, he has spoken out on issues ranging from embryonic stem cell research to the Iraq War. In 2005, he condemned the death of Terry Schiavo, calling it state-sanctioned murder. In 2006, he drew parallels between the fearmongering in his film Apocalypto and the Bush administration's policies. Though anti-war in principle, Gibson has expressed admiration for the sacrifices made by soldiers, embodying yet another contradiction in his worldview. His complicated relationship with Hollywood is equally fascinating. While Gibson praised Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11 and originally agreed to finance the film through his company, Icon Productions, he later sold the rights to Miramax amid claims of political pressure. Gibson denied these allegations, emphasizing his willingness to tackle controversy but remaining tight-lipped about his dealings with Hollywood power structures. Despite his outspoken nature, Gibson claims to approach politics with caution. In a 2011 interview, he described voting as a disheartening act, likening it to pulling a lever and watching the ground fall out beneath you. His cynicism toward political figures and systems has kept him from aligning fully with any party, although he has voiced quiet support for candidates in the past. By 2016, he had chosen not to vote for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. However, his unexpected salute to Trump at a UFC event in 2021 fueled speculation about his political leanings. By 2024, Gibson's position shifted. Endorsing Trump's presidential campaign, he labeled Kamala Harris with unflattering remarks while expressing strong support for Trump's leadership. This alignment culminated in a formal role when, on January 16, 2025, President Trump appointed Gibson as one of 3 special ambassadors to Hollywood. Sharing the role with actors Jon Voight and Sylvester Stallone, Gibson's mission is to revitalize Hollywood's influence, though the specifics of his duties remain vague. For a man whose faith and politics have often placed him at odds with mainstream narratives, Mel Gibson's journey remains as unpredictable as it is captivating. His unyielding principles, whether in religion, film, or public life, continue to provoke intrigue and debate, ensuring that his story is far from over. Hollywood often dazzles with glittering premieres, red carpets, and billion-dollar box office hits. But what happens when a star from this glamorous world brings faith into the spotlight? Religion and fame, two contrasting realms, occasionally collide in ways that captivate public attention. For some celebrities, faith is a quiet, private journey. For others, it becomes a defining part of their identity, evoking debates, praise, and controversy alike. Gibson's controversial statements led to his blacklisting in Hollywood for nearly a decade. Few individuals represent this unique overlap as vividly as Mel Gibson. Known for his iconic roles and uncompromising directorial style, Mel Gibson has long been a polarizing figure in Hollywood. While many stars stick to safe topics, Mel's willingness to venture into uncharted territory, particularly the often controversial realm of religion, has solidified his reputation as a risk-taker. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and that fearlessness has made him one of the most fascinating and, at times, divisive personalities in the entertainment world. Take a moment to revisit one of Mel's boldest moves, The Passion of the Christ. Released in 2004, the film was unlike anything Hollywood had seen before. Its brutal depiction of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ shocked audiences and critics alike. Many said Mel was committing career suicide by pouring millions into a religious film that didn't cater to mainstream expectations. Yet, the project became a cultural phenomenon, grossing over $600 million worldwide. The Passion of the Christ reignited conversations about faith, art, and storytelling. Mel didn't just direct The Passion of the Christ, he poured his soul into it. Raised in a devout Catholic household, he drew heavily from his own faith to create a film that was unapologetically intense and deeply personal. For Mel, it wasn't just about making a movie, it was about creating something meaningful, no matter the backlash. For Mel, faith isn't a compartmentalized aspect of life, it's central to who he is, shaping both his career choices and his worldview. Now, imagine a figure like Mel Gibson turning his attention to someone as polarizing as Joel Osteen. Known as one of America's most prominent televangelists, Osteen leads a congregation of millions through his megachurch in Houston and his televised sermons. His messages of positivity and prosperity have made him a household name, but they've also drawn criticism for their lack of theological depth and emphasis on material wealth. Osteen's approach to faith has sparked countless debates, with supporters praising his uplifting outlook and detractors questioning his sincerity. If anyone were to comment on Osteen, it would be someone like Mel Gibson, a man unafraid to wade into controversial waters. Mel's history of tackling taboo topics and his deep connection to faith make him uniquely positioned to voice an opinion on figures like Osteen. While it's unclear what Mel might say, one thing is certain, it wouldn't be sugarcoated. His bold, no-nonsense approach to life ensures that his words would be as impactful as they are unfiltered. But Mel Gibson's journey with faith is far more complex than a few headline-grabbing statements. From his early days in Hollywood to his transformation into a critically acclaimed director, faith has been a constant, though often challenging, companion. Growing up in a devout Catholic family instilled Mel with a strong moral foundation, yet navigating the temptations and pressures of Hollywood tested that foundation at every turn. Over the years, Mel has openly acknowledged the struggles of maintaining his beliefs in an industry that often stands at odds with them. Yet, instead of compromising, he's leaned into the tension, using it as fuel for his creative work. Whether it's crafting deeply personal films like The Passion of the Christ or speaking out against societal double standards, Mel's faith remains an integral part of his identity. This connection to religion makes his potential perspective on Joel Osteen all the more intriguing. Osteen, with his polished image and megawatt smile, represents a very different side of the faith spectrum, one that's tightly intertwined with fame, fortune, and public appeal. While both men are influential in their own ways, their approaches to faith couldn't be more different. Mel Gibson's career has been defined by his willingness to take risks and challenge conventions. Whether you admire his tenacity or question his methods, there's no denying that he's a man of conviction. And when conviction meets controversy, the results are anything but ordinary. Joel Osteen is a name that sparks instant recognition. With his signature radiant smile and uplifting sermons, Osteen has become a household name, offering messages of hope and positivity to millions across the globe. But beneath the polished image and stadium-sized gatherings lies a figure whose life and ministry have ignited some of the most heated debates about the intersection of faith, wealth, and authenticity. For many, Joel Osteen represents the epitome of modern success in ministry. His sermons are broadcast worldwide, his books are consistent bestsellers, and his church, Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, attracts tens of thousands every week. Yet, as celebrated as he is, Osteen remains one of the most controversial religious figures of his time. His rise to fame has not come without its share of criticism, particularly surrounding the lavish lifestyle he leads, which often clashes with the traditional image of humility associated with the ministry. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Joel Osteen's wealth. It's no secret that he enjoys a life of luxury. His sprawling estate, valued at over $10 million, his luxury vehicles, and the opulent lifestyle he leads stand in stark contrast to the humble beginnings that many pastors embrace. Some argue that Osteen's wealth is simply a byproduct of his success, the result of his hard work and ability to inspire millions around the world. His books and speaking engagements generate substantial revenue, and supporters believe he deserves to enjoy the fruits of his labor. But for critics, Osteen's extravagant lifestyle raises more questions than answers. They point to passages from the Bible, such as Matthew 19 verse 24, which warns that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. They suggest that Osteen's wealth is in direct conflict with the teachings of Christ, particularly the call to live a life of sacrifice and humility. Some believe that his wealth and high-profile lifestyle are not the mark of a true spiritual leader, but rather a symptom of a faith-driven enterprise that prioritizes profits over spiritual well-being. Amidst the praise and condemnation, Osteen remains a central figure in the ongoing debate about faith and material success. One of the most significant moments that put Joel Osteen under intense scrutiny occurred in 2017 during the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. As floodwaters ravaged Houston, displacing thousands and overwhelming emergency shelters, many looked to Lakewood Church as a potential refuge. The church's massive size and resources seemed ideal for housing those in need. At the heart of Joel Osteen's ministry is the prosperity gospel, a theology that has sparked both fervent support and harsh criticism. The prosperity gospel teaches that faith, positive thinking, and devotion to God can lead to material success, good health, and overall well-being. It's a message that resonates with millions who are looking for hope in a world that often feels uncertain and unforgiving. The idea that one's faith can lead to tangible rewards has made Osteen a beloved figure for many, especially those who feel their lives have been transformed by his teachings. Yet, for others, the prosperity gospel oversimplifies the complexities of life. Critics argue that it places too much emphasis on material success, promoting the idea that believing in God guarantees a life free of hardship. For these critics, the message undermines the deeper aspects of faith, such as endurance through suffering and spiritual growth during difficult times. They believe that Osteen's teachings offer an incomplete picture of Christianity, one that leans heavily on motivational speaking rather than addressing the full spectrum of human experience. Nevertheless, Osteen's supporters counter these critiques by pointing to the hope and encouragement his messages bring to people who might otherwise feel forgotten. They argue that his focus on positivity and self-improvement resonates with millions of individuals who are struggling to find direction and purpose. By emphasizing practical steps to overcome adversity, Osteen's messages speak to those looking for real-world solutions to life's challenges. His teachings offer a sense of empowerment, urging people to believe in themselves and the possibility of a better future. This duality, between the allure of prosperity and the critiques of oversimplification, has fueled ongoing debates about Osteen's authenticity as a spiritual leader. As a man who has built an empire around his faith, it's hard to ignore the tension between his role as a pastor and his status as a celebrity. Is he truly living out the values he preaches, or is he simply capitalizing on the power of positivity? The questions surrounding Osteen are complex and multifaceted, and they touch on larger issues about the role of religion in modern society. As if his wealth and teachings weren't enough to spark debate, the possibility of Mel Gibson weighing in on Osteen's ministry only adds another layer of intrigue. Gibson, known for his outspoken nature and willingness to tackle controversial subjects, has always had a unique perspective on faith. His films, like The Passion of the Christ, explore the depths of religious devotion, while his personal life has been marked by both triumphs and controversies. Could Gibson's critique of Osteen focus on his wealth, his handling of the Hurricane Harvey situation, or his approach to prosperity? Critics argued that the church's delayed response showed a lack of empathy for the suffering of the community. Mel's comments could be pointing to broader issues surrounding the role of modern-day religious leaders. Are they truly serving the needs of their congregations, or is their primary focus on their success? As Mel's words lingered in the air, reactions came flooding in. Social media exploded with debate, with fans and detractors alike analyzing every syllable, every glance, and every pause. Some applauded Mel for what they saw as a courageous critique of a system that seemed to prioritize wealth and image over genuine faith. Others, however, questioned the fairness of his words, asking if it was appropriate for him to target a figure like Osteen without offering concrete evidence or solutions. What made this moment so powerful, though, was the ambiguity of Mel's message. He didn't spell everything out, and that's precisely what left people talking. Was he genuinely concerned about the direction of modern-day ministry, or was this just another example of Mel Gibson's notorious, unfiltered rants being blown out of proportion by the media? The open-ended nature of his comments only fueled the conversation, keeping his words relevant long after the interview ended. What shocking truth did Mel Gibson reveal about high-profile religious figures? Stay tuned to uncover it. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. Whether or not Mel Gibson's recent comments were aimed directly at Joel Osteen, they spark a much larger conversation, one about faith, leadership, and the heavy expectations placed on public figures who represent both. When someone like Joel Osteen takes the stage in front of millions, preaching messages of hope, prosperity, and faith, the stakes are high. His words have the power to uplift, inspire, and influence a global audience. But with that kind of influence comes a greater responsibility. People naturally hold him to a higher standard. If his lifestyle or actions seem to clash with the teachings he shares, it raises questions. For many, faith leaders are expected to lead by example, to live the values they preach, and to do so with authenticity. Known for his unapologetic views and bold statements, Mel Gibson isn't one to shy away from speaking his mind. So when he makes comments that can be seen as critical or challenging, it compels us to dig deeper. Is he merely holding leaders accountable? Or is he calling out the discrepancy between words and actions, especially when those actions come from someone with as much influence as Osteen? This is where the tension lies. Religious leaders, in particular, are under immense scrutiny because they represent something much larger than themselves. They are supposed to embody the very principles they preach, from humility and service to honesty and compassion. When their lavish lifestyles or controversial actions seem out of sync with these values, it makes us question, are they truly living authentically? And perhaps, more importantly, are they being held to the standards they set themselves? Yet, this isn't just about the public's desire for transparency, it's about something more profound. In today's world, society has a complicated relationship with its idols, whether they're religious leaders like Joel Osteen or figures from the entertainment industry like Mel Gibson. We elevate them, expecting them to be not only successful but also flawless, inspirational, and perfectly aligned with the values they promote. We want them to be beacons of hope and positivity, but when they inevitably falter, we're quick to criticize. It's an impossible standard, yet it's one that both of them, along with others in their positions, must face. But this isn't just about the public placing unrealistic expectations on them, it's also about the consequences of not meeting those expectations. When these figures fall short of the transparency we seek, the backlash is immediate and harsh. We live in a world where people demand more from their leaders than ever before. Are we too critical? Or is this simply a reflection of the deep desire for authenticity in a world where image often trumps substance? What's clear in all of this, whether or not Mel's words were directly aimed at Joel Osteen, is the underlying importance of genuine leadership. People care deeply about authenticity, especially when it comes to matters of faith. It's a reminder that actions speak louder than words, particularly when those words are broadcast to millions, shaping not just a person's reputation but also the beliefs of an entire following. Do you think Mel Gibson was justified in calling this out, or has it been exaggerated? Share your thoughts in the comments below.